Hi, I'm Deke, and this is my podcast, SideTrack'd. If this is your first time listening, allow me to welcome you in. This is an outlet for me to express my love for movies and all things cinema. I've had a long and unique relationship with how and what I watch, and I'm excited to share it with everyone out there listening. Today we take an in-depth look at Ari Aster's Midsommar. More precisely, his extended director's cut. As always, we speak our minds here on SideTrack'd, and there are major spoilers ahead. You have been warned. So if you're ready, let's jump into Midsommar as I'm joined by my friends Ben and Gigi.
This weekend, summer never ends.
Oh God, no, I'm too scared.
Experience Midsommar, Ari Aster's unrated director's cut.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I wanted to share it.
Featuring new footage,
Is it scary?
plus extended scenes.
And who decides what gets added?
Ari Aster's director's cut in select theaters this weekend.
It's okay. It's okay.
Dani has packed her bags and is now traveling with her unsupportive boyfriend Christian to the world's most fucked up town fair, in which funnel cakes and cotton candy are replaced by hallucinogenic lemonades and pubic hair pies, for a celebration filled with 9 full days of daylight with no nightfall. It's a new horror, possibly comedy? We'll find out in this conversation from up-and-coming director Ari Aster, who self-describes the feature as a Wizard of Oz for perverts. Joining me today to end the debate, is this the end-all be-all of breakup movies, is Ben Toussaint and Gigi Lage. Guys, say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So just before we get into it, I know we just both watched all three of us just watched I'm including myself, the director's cut. Before we even get into the actual movie, I was going to ask you guys, what's your thoughts on running time? Do you guys even give a shit about running times? Does it matter? Not pacing, but running times.
Ladies first.
Oh, I don't care about runtime as long as
As long as it's something that keeps you interested.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would want to know what the runtime's going to be, if it's going to be extremely long.
Right.
Like the average movie is probably like 2 hours, right?
Right.
If I thought we were watching the average movie and it ended up being 4 hours, I'd want to know that in advance.
Right. Yeah. No. I think one of the longer movies I watched this past year was the Irishman.
Right.
And I
that you
definitely
can't-
knew that was going to need it. We watched that on Thanksgiving, and I knew because we had a couple of my friends over, and we knew to have Thanksgiving meal like halfway through, just to kind of split it up a little bit because it's a long sit.
I don't know anyone who's watched it who didn't split it up.
Right? Yeah.
But you know about the runtime is my point. Like that's like the first thing you hear about the Irishman is that it's 4 hours long.
Yeah. Of course.
So I'd want to know that.
But-
so it does matter is my real answer.
Gotcha. So it does matter. So okay.
I think I can keep going with this movie. I want to see more, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We could talk about that. But I was just wondering if running times, like, are you like, all right, well, no, I like shorter movies. I like getting in and out, or if, as long as it's something that interests you a little bit, you're all in.
Yeah, it does
Definitely
not
doesn't
matter to
Okay.
me.
Okay. All right. So you could have sat through like a 4-hour version of this movie.
Absolutely.
Possibly. Okay.
Definitely.
I
say
would
so.
have liked to know ahead of time.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, we could have had another Thanksgiving
Bathroom
meal.
breaks.
Yeah.
Yes, bathroom breaks, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's actually get into the movie. One of the things right off the bat I wanted to talk about is how with Midsommar, it kind of goes against everything we've ever known for horror films. I know, like, the cliche thing for horror films is to look, completely grainy and dark and shitty, and like everything's at night, and that's where you can hide in the shadows and stuff. And then this movie, it looks literally like a fragrance softener commercial, or like a Stay Free ad or something. And it's so beautiful and bright to the point where it's like the opposite of 30 Days a Night, where it's it's like 9 days straight because of where they are. They're in Sweden in this movie, so it's like all the time daytime. So I was
It's
wondering-
blinding.
Yes.
I think yes and no, though. Like, the daytime is different, but horror movies are about being out of your element.
Right.
So, like, Jaws is scary because you're in the ocean,
that's a
or
good point.
Alien, you're like in space. This movie makes you out of your element because it's constantly daytime. So it's different because it's constantly daytime, but it's also the same
disorientating.
horror movie because it's disorienting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's out of Danny's element too, right? Because the movie starts off as dark and dreary and cold. It is. We are literally in ice when we
Yeah,
start
that's
out.
right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So you do make a good point with that, Ben.
Yeah, but that is, yeah, I mean, that's basically like the daytime, and the disorientation of it is the equivalent of like the seasickness of Jaws, and the not in having limited vision with night. I think
Or
of
being
like,
in a haunted house or something.
yeah, I think of like the end of like Silence of the Lambs, where like literally Jodie Foster could not see, and like how terrifying that was, versus just not knowing from day to day if you're in the next day or not. And just but I think the bigger picture is just making the daytime an actual horror element, you know what I mean, like the fact that you could see everything. What did you guys think of that, like juxtaposed to like how we are again, 99% of horror films are always shot at night.
Yeah. I was thinking, I felt horrible for the actor who plays Danny's boyfriend, having to run around naked at the end of the movie.
Jack Rayner.
Jack Rayner is
an Irish actor, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt horrible. I mean, he earned his paycheck for that. Like,
of course, yeah.
But his character, I think, definitely deserved it. Like, that's definitely when he becomes the most observed, like the most out in the open, like, he's running around daylight naked.
Right, yeah.
He is exposed.
And that I'm going to jump ahead to something I was going to bring up later on, but that exact scene, and the scene we're talking about is after, and we'll totally get into this way later, but there's an insane sex sequence at the end of the movie that we'll definitely talk about later. But Jack's running around like completely naked, and he's kind of doing in every other horror film that they normally do, where they kind of do like the recap run around, like in every Friday the 13th movie. It's like this half naked woman who runs around and discovers where all the bodies are, and they flop down from the ceiling like Jason had time to suspend them, and they come down like as you walk through the door. The body comes down, or you open up another closet door, but it's always like a half-naked woman screaming. And then in this version, again, going against the grain, like the daytime, it's like this half-naked guy.
Fully naked.
Yeah. Besides two hands, yes, that were covering up bits and pieces. But, so he was completely naked, running around, and like totally disorientated. You're right, like the fact that the run-around recap is normally like still the shadows and scariness of it, like the fact that he runs into this body that has
the foot in the ground.
Yeah, the foot in the ground, and the dismembered body that with the Viking wings. Is that what it's called?
Like the blood eagle, right?
Blood
Like he's
eagle,
inside of
that's
like
what
the
it's
chicken
called.
coop or
Yes,
something.
Yeah.
Blood chicken.
Yeah.
So there's
The
a
bloody chicken
there's
eagle.
a guy at the end who has his lungs still breathing, but like dismembered from him, but like hanging up like wings. It's pretty effed up. One of the things I wanted to move on to next is the cast. Do you guys were you guys familiar with any of the cast before this movie?
I know Florence Pugh is in. Was it Little Women?
She was, but that came after this.
Oh, was it after? For me, it was in the same span of. But so I guess the answer is no. I didn't know who she was before either of those. So if this came first, I definitely didn't know.
I knew the guy William Jackson Harper from the Kristen Bell show, and Ted Dancy show, The Good Place.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I know what you're talking
He's
about.
great in it.
Oh okay.
And he's great in it. So that was
And Will Poulter is in. God help me, he's in Maze Runner, which I've seen. Which is
wait, all of them?
no, God no. At the end of the first movie, it was like, okay, I've seen enough to never see these
Right,
again.
yeah.
Because the first movie was actually I thought was pretty good for 80% of it, and then it didn't have an ending. It was like
I'll have
a
to
big
try to
F
see
you.
it. I have not seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get to the maze.
If you have a podcast for bad endings,
Okay.
Maze Runner is in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with anyone before the movie. I mean, Jack Rayner's in another movie. I'll have to look him up in a second, but I remembered him from another movie. But definitely like Florence Pugh, I was not familiar with. But what did you guys think of her performance?
I absolutely loved her performance.
I was disappointed she wasn't nominated for an Oscar. Honestly,
Yeah, I thought.
I was hearkening back to how I thought Toni Collette should have been nominated for Hereditary, and I thought that was fucking robbery. And then when I saw her in Midsommar, Florence Pugh, I was like, holy crap, this is going to happen again. I thought she was fantastic.
Yeah, she was. Her character is very believable.
Yeah.
As pathetic as I think her character is, she's like everything, I don't want to be in a female, but I really loved her performance.
I agree.
She makes you think she's pathetic,
Definitely.
which makes her a good actress.
Right,
Yeah.
of course.
And horror movies don't get the respect they deserve for acting.
I agree. I agree. Or writing, and we can get into that.
Right.
And directing. but
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a lot harder, I think, to have panic on your face than it is to be like, whatever the cliche Oscar winner movies are, like Madly in Love or whatever, Overwhelmingly Happy, like to be completely out of your mind scared and be convincing is tough.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think she did some really, like, especially, in the screening we just had, like, there were so many things I noticed that she was doing as far as like her interactions with Christian, the boyfriend, and even just like, not just side glances, but just stuff like that. And then she makes such a insanely beautiful transition from what she was in the beginning of the movie and when she starts like accepting the culture of the Harga people,
Right.
And she does some really interesting things with that, and I was just blown away by her performance. For me, I wasn't, she had done like this is a weird, I never saw the movie, but it was like a WWE movie, and it was about these people who wanted to be professional wrestlers, and The Rock was the producer of the movie. Anyways, that's the only movie I knew she had done before, and she's like all in the trailer like gothic out. She has like
she's off to bigger
What does
and
she
better
do?
things.
She's a wannabe wrestler.
Okay.
There's a line in the movie, in the trailer, where, because they keep asking The Rock like how they can be the next Rock, and he's trying to be like super motivational, and he says something like, don't be the next me, be the first you.
Paige, I myself have come from a wrestling family too. I know exactly what it means to you. But don't worry about being the next me. Be the first you.
And I don't know, that was like the big inspirational part of the trailer, but I digress.
Sounds amazing.
Anyways, that's all I knew her from, so I was kind of like a little skeptical coming in, but yeah, I was just absolutely totally blown away by her.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. So the character Pele, do you guys think that he got a signing bonus for getting, because all the people who are going out and collecting these unsuspecting idiots, he got both the May Queen and the sacrifice, the bear suit sacrifice. Does he
it's a
get
double whammy.
Yeah, does he? That's the question I was thinking of this viewing.
From the beginning too, like he had him. He was like fishing with them.
Yeah,
like, and he knew he had
his hand.
What is it, hook, line, and sinker? Is that the expression? Like he knew. He was making jokes with us. Having seen this for the third time now, you can listen to the dialogue in a new light,
right,
knowing what's coming. But he was making jokes with us, like, "Oh, you've been brainwashed since I met you," or
right.
Like, and like you mentioned during the movie that he pits the two characters with the thesis against each other from the beginning with such ease. I think he maybe was surprised at his own luck of finding Danny and her idiot boyfriend.
So I'll tell you this. This viewing, I really noticed Pele's real mind control. When Christian says, hey, he just buzzes Danny up, and he's like, hey, guys, she's on her way. I told her she can come, but she's not gonna, don't worry. And you can see the look if you watch like Pele's face. He's just churning. And then as soon as she comes in, Josh is the one who says, so Sweden, almost kind of like if he was the only one who spoke in that scene, she would have been like, oh, the way he said it, I'm kind of troubling them. But then immediately Pele kicks in and goes, you're coming, right? Which she is now would be rude to turn it down.
Changes the whole dynamic.
It really does.
It does.
And it's kind of creepy how if you just notice and this is the first time, and I think this is like, and we can get into this in a second, but this is like my fourth time I think seeing this version, and just just really noticing what he was doing was he's sitting next to them at the dinner table every single time, and they're just sitting there shit talking and like their conspiracy theories and all this other. I mean, like major gossip, as it's called around here, noodle news. I'll get into it later. But anyways,
please.
But yeah, no, it's a whole long story. I will have to sidetrack for that story actually. So, but what was I just fucking talking about?
Pele.
Yeah,
Pele's influence.
Dinner table.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he is just eavesdropping the entire time. I mean, one of the things that's so great about this movie, like he has you looking in dead center frame, but there's so many other things going off on the side that after repeat viewings you notice. And I really was noticing Pele and how he was really the mastermind of this.
I 100% agree with that. He's also the one that pins Danny against Christian. I mean, he is the pivotal turning point for her changing her mind about Christian.
And it's right after he apologizes for her parents' death that she runs into the bathroom and it jump cuts to her running into the plane.
I love that.
And it's just like the catalyst that sets them.
That's going to get me on another subject. You know, that this is the time when I was viewing it where I was like, Ari Aster is a master of editing. He knows how to advance the story. You know, for her to get upset about hearing about her parents and immediately cry and run into the bathroom, and without any other exposition, they needed to get the story moving fast. And like, you got to fast forward to the airplane. We don't at this point. We don't need anything else told. We need to get moving to the story. We need to get to the other country. And so he jumps cuts from, which is a great jump cut, you know, her going into the bathroom in dismay, and then she's back crying again on the airplane. He knows how to advance the story. And
it's not just this quick cut either. It's a camera effect of going over the door frame.
Right.
So it's like all pre-planned, that cut, I think.
And he was doing that a lot, these like overhead and underhead shots. Yeah. So when they get the banner going across the highway, and it does that amazing like slow motion, like the road turns upside down because you're going into a fucked up world, buddy.
Like you said it was Alice in Wonderland or Wizard of Oz?
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard
for
of Oz.
perverts.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, exactly. And there definitely was a lot of scarecrows at the end of the movie, but yeah. And then I even noticed, like, again, going back to the blood eagle,
Yes,
where they did an underhead shot, and then there's a lot of straight over, like, and I felt like a lot of the overhead shots were more showing off the geometric shapes. I felt a lot, just to kind of show like how the table was designed, and like the grass pattern in the final temple and stuff.
It did feel Wes Anderson-y to me.
Yeah, that's funny you say
in the
that.
barn
The way
house,
it's framed up.
Yeah.
in the barn, the way that it's very symmetrical.
Yeah,
and
that's
square.
great.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, his use of colors and stuff like that, I could
Definitely.
say represent a lot of Wes Anderson stuff.
Yeah, my favorite shot, I think, is the one where right before the suicide ritual, where it's either the man or the woman, they're just like pointing to the sky, and you're looking straight down, and then it just kind of turns.
That's a great shot. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Is the woman looking at Danny? Do you think?
Or maybe we're just seeing it from Danny's perspective, is what I think. But
she's either looking at the camera,
she's, like,
and the camera
looking
is
straight
Danny,
at-
or
yeah.
she's looking at Danny.
seems that way.
That was another thing I'll tell you. I'm gonna draw a blank on what the actual name of that suicide ritual is, but so anyways, to set the scene, there's once you reach a certain age, I know it's a denomination of 9, so it's 72, I guess. Okay, so
I think it was,
everything's
18.
Okay,
Wasn't it 18?
Yeah, so there's every age was a
which is 9, I
denomination
guess,
of 9,
but you know,
because it's 9 days,
right?
So all the other stuff. So, but this is the first time I noticed during the suicide ritual when you reach 72, these two old people, a woman and a man, they jump down and they kill themselves. But every other viewing I noticed, she was like breathing so heavy, and you think she's freaking out. But this is the first time I read it, like, because the way they breathe is like a form of communication with these people, I guess, or a ritual or something.
Like resolve.
Something. But it is something that they do as part of their culture.
You just did it.
What's up?
I think you just did it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
He's been practicing.
I'm out of breath, yeah. I'm talking so fucking much. But I felt like on this viewing that she was actually getting in tune with their culture on this one.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
way I was reading her breathing this time. And it was things like that, like the more you watch this movie and you start noticing the angles he's kind of going for, I thought that was kind of cool to pick up on the fact that ever since that moment, you could start noticing a shift in her personality throughout the rest of the movie after that.
And we write them off as panic attacks.
Right.
Because that's how it's sold to us in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
I brought this up a little earlier. What do you guys think as far as genre? Is this a horror movie or is this a comedy? And I will tell you that Ari Aster has repeatedly been quoted as saying that this is a comedy.
I feel like a film with no humor is a film wasted. There's a lot of stuff in Hereditary that I find funny. I don't know. But yes, it was certainly a conscious effort. I kind of see the film as a dark comedy. The ending makes me laugh. But on a perverse level. But I'm happy that people are finding it funny. That's great.
Well,
You answered the question.
So, but what's
So
your...
hold on.
No, of course,
Hold on
it's
here.
it's open to interpretation.
well,
of
he
course.
also says that this is a breakup movie
Yes.
because he went through a breakup, so he wrote this
Based on the breakup.
based on his.
He has said that this is a comedy. I will tell you, I have gone in certain viewings. I have seen this movie multiple times, and I have gone in with certain viewings thinking of it as a horror film and come out thinking, shit, that scared me to death. And then I've gone in with other certain viewings thinking this is a comedy, and I look at it in such a different way when they're picking who gets to die and they're doing the daily lottery machine thing. I mean, you can't help but thinking this is the most crazy batshit, this is hilarious type of thing.
Yeah.
And then, but that's stuff you would see in almost like a Will Ferrell skit or some shit. So that's why for me it was so out of there. But then I also felt that a lot of the comedy was also the pacing. The fact that they're making
Definitely.
these dumb Americans, like wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time for their meals, I felt was really funny. And so when you think about it, like when you're watching it as a comedy with that type
Comedy
of lens,
of manners is what it.
Yes.
Is the idea,
Well,
right?
it's also like the uncomfortableness of being inside of a different
Right.
cult.
Well, that's funny you
And
would bring that up, by the way.
the dumb Americans, we are dumb Americans. You have this dude that's Mark or whatever that's just
Right.
vaping like
Right,
during
yeah, the
certain
jester.
certain scenes, and he's making fun of like these very serious moments at the dinner table where he's saying, "What if I were just to stick my finger up his butt or something?"
Right, yeah.
So I think it's just like the awkwardness and the uncomfortableness of the scene that
Yeah.
makes it hilarious
But
to
I mean,
watch.
some of my favorite comedies, are the awkward comedies.
Of course.
I love.
I
think
love
it's not
the
Yeah.
awkwardness.
I know you
I
do.
think it's not obviously a comedy because we're not part of the culture that's in on the joke.
Right.
We are just as confused as why aren't they eating?
Right,
Why,
right,
and we're gonna
right.
sit down when it feels right to sit down.
Right.
Like that's not how we would behave in the United States.
Right.
Right.
She has to
Clearly.
swallow this fish whole.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And they're all just like it's like a joke. Like
Right.
it's I mean, I've been in, it's like being a guest at somebody's house and sitting at the end of the table and they're all like they all have their private little jokes and it's like
Right.
you're not
Right,
in
'cause
on
you don't
it.
know.
You're not
Right.
in on it and it's
Right.
like they can be throwing them at you and you have no idea because it's people's inside jokes and
Right.
humor that goes back forever and like not being able to read it right away or pick up on it.
does it go back forever? How do you know?
I don't know.
Hey, so this kind of ties into something I actually probably should have finished up on before. We watched the director's cut, which is 24 minutes longer, and one of the scenes in there was one of the funnier scenes. If you haven't seen this version, it's they have they have another ritual. It's a completely other ritual, and you got to understand the first ritual we saw was two people violently, I mean grotesquely, jumping to their deaths, and then when one doesn't succeed, they have to have their head bashed in. I mean, it is a gore fest. But so what these people are capable of, and then not even 10 minutes later, you have another ritual where they have a small child being chained to a boulder that is now being laid on its stomach as they do kind of like a 1, 2, 3 swing and toss them into the lake to watch them drown. And
But that was the ritual was for bravery, right? They weren't going to go through with it.
They were not,
Correct?
and that's what makes them big jokesters.
Yes.
That's true.
They are playing pranks on people left and right in this movie that, the first time you don't really pick up on, but yeah, like they're joking with these people all the time. The fish, the throwing the kid in, even when I'm trying to think, there's a couple other examples, but there's a scene in there where Christian is like tripping out of his mind. He's like, he looks at this old guy, and the old guy fucks with him. He just
He's like, snap out of it.
Yeah, he like claps his hand, and it sets some kind of like sonic booming wave through it. And but anyways, we did watch the director's cut. And so, what did you guys think of the additional scenes? Ben, this was your first time seeing this cut?
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that scene now with this discussion. The scene right after that, where she has her first argument with Christian.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't like that scene.
Right, and we kind of chit-chatted during the
That
movie about
was... I honestly don't remember thinking about Danny as a psychology student.
I think she is.
No, she definitely is.
Yeah, okay.
And that becomes apparent in the director's cut because he makes a little barb at her about her analysis of their relationship. And it really, that almost seemed unnecessary. Like her being a student, us knowing about what she is studying, all that can be cut out if you ask me. Especially that scene, because they're, I mean, we don't learn anything new, I don't think, because she wants to leave,
right,
and he doesn't want to go.
But I felt like that was the tear. I thought that was the tear. Like every other interaction that they had was like, okay, she caught him buying tickets to a place where he was potentially going to get laid. I'm not sure.
Like you weren't
party.
really sure
Yeah,
what was
like
happening,
it was a little weird.
or his intentions, right?
And then the birthday candle, and then everything else, like. They just were dick moves. That was for me, like that's as a viewer, that was where I made up my mind because, and this is going to make me sound like a jerk, but I would say the first time I watched this movie without some context like that bonus scene.
I agree. I 100% agree. I actually hated Danny the first time I watched.
Yes. That scene?
No. The first time I watched the movie, and it was the theatrical cut. So the first time I watched it, I absolutely could not stand Danny.
Yeah, I found her needy, and
clingy.
She even
really,
yes.
Yeah, and she has this conversation with her girlfriend Amy, I think it is, who wished her a birthday.
We never meet,
right?
Yeah.
But and you don't need to. I mean, you really only need her for that follow-up text where she is a true friend and text her happy birthday. I know it's tomorrow. I'm a little early, but just a reminder.
And she's also
later
calling
on
her. She also calls her because that's the only person she can talk to when her sister is.
And she is a supportive friend.
Right.
But she also.
We'll give Amy a round of applause.
She's like, you need another boyfriend. He is not good for you.
But Christian pointed out some stuff that maybe a friend like that is an enabler. He said some things that here's the weird that's
you don't believe that though.
Well, I do. Here's the thing. So I will say he ended up stepping on his own foot because I thought some of the stuff he said about in the beginning, because the way we meet Christian is through a phone call, and I will also get off the side for a second and mention the way Ari directs this movie. At the beginning of the movie, he does a fantastic job of separating these two, whether it's you don't meet Christian in person, you meet him on a cell phone, or then they have this really long conversation where Christian is only in the reflection of the mirror and Danny is the front and center person in the frame. And he's constantly good about like not putting him in the same frame in a flattering way or just visually separating them so you as the audience know that there is no connection here. And so in the beginning, when he has a conversation and he goes, well, your sister's constantly bugging you and blah, blah, blah. He goes on this whole thing. And I remember the first time I saw the movie, I was like, well, yeah, you're kind of right. Boom, you get smacked in the face. The parents and child commit this like mass horrible
sure
death.
But
so he was wrong on that
he
one.
He goes to her house finally. And the first scene I think they're in together is when she is like sobbing in his lap. And the camera, I think it's a dolly shot right through the window.
Which I want to
cut to her waking up in the room, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to a party."
And now that's pure comedy.
It's comedy, but it's also like I don't need to like Christian anymore. Right? Like he's clearly a douchebag.
Of course,
self-centered.
And that was the same in the theatrical cut.
Right.
So this bonus cut doesn't make me see his side at all.
No. I apologize. No, and I apologize. Maybe I said this wrong, and I do want to go back to the first 12 minutes of this movie for a second. But I would say with this extended cut, that was a true divide scene for me, and that really, the first time I saw the director's cut really helped me make the decision. Okay, Christian's a dick. What he has coming, he kind of deserves. Because I remember the first time in the theatrical cut, I was like, geez, that guy got a bad rap. I mean, he's an asshole, but to be burned alive in a bear suit, that's a flex, man. That's a rough way to go.
Considering the ending, that scene is pivotal because she says, I want to go.
Right.
And she makes it clear
puts
like
his
it's either
priorities, his fake priorities, because he didn't choose that fucking subject.
No. As his thesis, no.
Right, yeah, no. Yeah. So he's choosing his fake weaseled in homework over his girlfriend's
making a bad situation
mental well-being. She is not doing well. She wasn't doing well going into this situation.
Well,
he's barely
an
anthropology student. He's not a psychology student either.
She wasn't supposed to go from the beginning. He does not care about Danny.
Of course.
I mean, he planned this trip
No,
on
it's
her
guilt.
birthday.
It's guilt. It's
Right,
not love
right.
or affection or.
And again, you were right to point this out. I remember the first. I remember thinking again. This could be seen as a part of the comedy of the movie, but I remember this feeling. I was like, holy shit! The scene right before you realize that they planned this trip on her birthday. He's like, oh, well, you made me ruin the surprise. I was going to surprise you for it. And he doesn't say for her birthday because he does not know it's her
has no
birthday. He just
idea.
says to be romantic,
Right.
which is another weasel out way of that
Totally,
conversation.
Totally. And it also just flips it blame back onto her.
Of course,
Yeah.
which he was really good about doing. He was, and this speaks to Ari Aster's writing. I would imagine it's hard to write good dialogue, period. But then to write good dialogue for a psychology major where she's analyzing everything, and then you have to have a two-sided conversation in your head as you're writing this, and think, well, how can I get Christian into a way where he's in trouble subtly, but then she psychoanalyzes it, and then he does this in the movie where Christian constantly uses her knowledge of how conversations work against her, and he was constantly throwing that back, like, well, your education that's making you super smart, I'm throwing it back in your face, because she was using it on him, but at the same time, that's her right to do. She knows how these conversations work. She's a psychology major.
And you can see that in Florence Pugh's face too.
Yeah.
When she's listening to him talk, because most of the time the camera is on her reaction.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can see her scanning every word he
Yep.
says for like, is this, does this line, does this add up?
She also goes back though and corrects herself and like says sorry for a lot of the things
She
that she
enables
shouldn't
him.
be
She enables
sorry
him
for.
a lot of it
Yeah.
too.
Agreed.
I think she's very rightfully the victim of this relationship,
Right.
but she doesn't ever draw a line in the sand until that scene.
Yes,
Maybe.
which I think is what makes that scene so pivotal. Is because she realizes that she's been, or she
Well,
wants to
because she does
accept
make
that
up-
she's in denial.
She does try to make up with him after though.
But that's only out of desperation because the poor girl is desperate.
I get that.
And
Desperate to
also,
get
I
out,
mean,
but-
what happens in that scene, it's the physical aspect of her nightmares where she doesn't want to be left.
I agree. Yes.
And he actually does physically leave her in this open space.
Okay, that brings up two things I want to get back to. The three of us, the last time we got together was to watch Tenet. And one of the most exciting things about Tenet was that first 6 minutes or so or whatever. I mean, it is depending on what your view is. My view is
If you
that,
can understand what's happening.
okay, again, there was some dialogue hearing issues in that movie for sure. But that is a drop kick in the ass type of scene. And I felt the same way in a much different tone, but I mean, just again, going back to that shot you were describing where you don't know what's going on with this movie, and then you get this horrific family death, and holy shit, I'm in hell now. Like, this movie is going to take me for a ride I've never been in, and then the music swells, and she's crying on Christian's lap, and they push slowly out into this fucking cold blizzard through the window. It is just a holy shit, first 12 minutes for me. I mean, I knew I was going to be in for a different adventure than I've ever probably been on in a horror film, or at least in a long time. Before I forget, did you like the director's cut better or the theatrical cut better? I just wanted like a final vote on that.
I'm gonna say I like the theatrical cut better. The
Okay.
director's cut, I notice a lot more like off-camera like one-liners from Mark.
Right.
Which
Which made him a bigger dick.
Right. I didn't need that though. I mean, I knew he was kind of the dick.
He was kind of a dick, but again, okay, it is one thing to live in the movie world, and we're so desensitized to how people die these days in movies. This movie was so grounded in reality. I think you still need a couple more like, did he deserve it? I think maybe a little bit.
I'm not going to say any of them deserved it.
Yeah, because they had horrific.
I
deaths.
wouldn't want. No, exactly. I don't think they deserve to die. Period. Not, let alone the way they do end up dying.
Right.
But in the movie, which is a movie,
right?
Mark plays the tool bag.
Right. Yeah.
And the guy with traditionally the audience looks most forward to seeing die, who typically dies first.
Right.
The director's cut was full of just like one-liners and zingers and like the only death so far has been the sister and parents of Danny.
Right.
Mark is obviously like teeing himself up to being like a huge, douchebag, but like the scene where he pisses on the tree is in the theatrical cut.
Right.
The scenes where he's just like toking away at his vape, completely disrespecting this whole, experience. Where he pressures Danny into taking mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Where he pressures Christian into breaking up with her.
Right.
Like, he's clearly a douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the rest of the group is neutral to Danny because they're not assholes.
Right.
So the theatrical or the director's cut,
And some of them have intentions also, but yeah.
Sure, that's very true. The director's cut just gives me more of what I already know about him. And it's not like they're like brilliant one-liners that like, thank God I heard them. Like they're just kind of, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. Again, for me, you know, I just love living in that world. You know, for me, the pacing, I could have done another half hour easily tonight. To be honest with you,
totally.
It's a fun world, and he did a bang up job creating everything you see. I mean, and let's talk about that now. You know, they have a language, they have symbols, they have rituals, they have specific ways that they do things. I just, the way they breathe, just everything in this movie I thought was so well researched and then transformed into the world that we saw. What did you guys think? And did you guys notice anything, again, watching it tonight, like another more detail like that stuck out for you?
Well, for me, I mean, each time I watch it, I gain some new insights into what's going on in the background. You know, the walls, the painted walls, the stories that the surrounding environment is telling us or foreshadowing. So I'm always picking up on like newer things every time I see it. I don't ever get bored with this this movie.
I felt like I could smell the fresh baked pies. I felt like I could, you know,
the pubic pies.
Yeah, the pubic pies. Yeah, shit. I guess I didn't even notice I forgot about the ingredients. Baked with love, but literally. But you know, just seeing all the tools and stuff on the tables. And
watching the faces,
there's so much detail put into this world.
Yes, the elder guy giving the kids lessons about how to hollow out a bear
and
put a body in it.
Yeah,
like it definitely felt like this is not my first time. I was taught when I was a kid. You're gonna teach somebody when you're an elder. Mm-hmm. You know, and there was a shit ton of foreshadowing in this movie.
Of course, yeah.
The big mural that you see in the very beginning of the movie.
That is the entire story.
The entire storyline.
Yeah.
And it's broken up into 4 panels, like the 4 seasons that this whole culture is built around.
Right.
It makes me wonder why they started off with winter for Danny.
I don't know. Winter discontent.
I feel like it's just
maybe.
I don't know.
I mean,
but it's
the
end.
When he describes the ages of the of the groups, the significant milestones of each age, he describes them in seasons and like.
That's true.
I wonder if that was considered when they made it winter for Danny to begin with.
I think also, you know, if I was to guess, you know, for her to start off in an emotional wreck of a state, you know, and it's, you know, the difference between going to, again, I go back to the way this movie looked and felt. And this goes back to the world we're just talking about, but it's shot so light and fluffy. I feel like the whole time she's walking in clouds, and then versus like, again, a stark. This is the only time we see the movie in darkness. You know, I mean, it's black exhaust. It's at night. It's at winter. I just think it's such a complete difference versus the family environment they kept trying to, you know, display to Danny. They kept talking family, and Pele kept bringing up, oh, listen, I lost my family too, and I was closed off emotionally, and now I can finally open up to these people.
Right. Pele should be selling timeshares though.
Oh,
like that dude could sell anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he gets the pat on the back at the end of the movie because he tricked everybody.
He really did.
Yeah.
Right. Although I guess Danny doesn't have any really reason to be mad at him, right? Because she ends up enjoying it
best
at the end.
Self-help group, you know, better than yoga, better than
seriously.
I mean, she came out.
They had a good group cry too.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, I did want to ask. So the dream sequence. Do you guys remember the dream sequence?
When they're leaving, when they leave her behind, and her mouth gets exhaust.
And okay, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the way I was reading that dream sequence. She connects. He intersplices again. I want to constantly go back to the magic trick that Ari Aster was doing with this movie, and it's not just the writing and the directing and the cinematography. It's also the editing. He intercuts what she remembers of death from her previous world versus their death, which is the two people falling, and she connects these two deaths, and that for me, I felt like after that, then she blows all the exhaust. I felt like she was exercising her demons. I could be completely wrong, but I felt like ever since that dream sequence, that was when she started kind of opening up to their world, and I felt like that dream sequence was a turning point. Like those guys driving away may have come off like being a dick move, but I think that was also her mentally expelling those guys because they're not good for her. And then she blows all the exhaust out, which is obviously another trouble thing in her brain and heart. But that's the way I read the dream sequence, because he intercuts the two people dying, which is them, their version of death in their world, versus what she knows of death, which is her whole family having a murder-suicide situation.
So for me, that, I guess, nightmare sequence, that's in direct conjunction with what we saw for the director's cut of Christian leaving her in the open space, because that happens right after. The dream sequence happens right after, where Christian is actually leaving, right?
Right.
And I do feel like that is the turning point for Danny.
Yeah.
When she comes
so
to
does that
realization.
make that scene even more important now?
Yes, I believe so.
I agree completely that it's a turning point. I wonder if it's exactly halfway through the movie.
That's an interesting thought.
But the deaths thing is that there is such a contrast between the way her parents died and the way those two elders died, that the elders gave their lives and their parents were murdered.
Right.
And the car exhaust for me may be expelling demons, but it's also like, this is what my parents were breathing in, what I'm breathing out.
Right, but that's also what she's been holding in for so long.
Right, exactly.
So, I don't know. Again, obviously, dream sequences. If there's one sequence in any movie, it's going to be a dream sequence. It's open for interpretation. But for me, I will say, I've seen this movie multiple times, and I've always had a negative reaction to the nightmare. And I would say this time I would not call it a nightmare. I had a positive reaction.
Because it was a different cut? Or just
no, I just happened to pick up on, I was really picking up on the fact that there was nothing wasted in this movie. Not a single thing, not a piece of dialogue, nothing that was said in this movie wasn't a little kick in the pants to say, hey, by the way, wait to see how this guy dies because I just dropped a fucking hint on you.
Not even Mark's.
There was, everything was beautifully foreshadowed, but almost again in a comedic way, which could make you think this is a comedy again. But there was nothing wasted, and there was not a single frame that wasn't shot that wasn't specifically telling me something or giving me a clue, and especially the editing. And I definitely noticed in the dream sequence that why would he intersplice this horrific death she's used to, and it came right after they explained the beautifulness of death in their culture. And so I felt like she was able to accept what she had just heard from the woman saying, hey, in our culture, death is a beautiful thing. It's how we move on. Right. And she needs to emotionally move on. And that's one of the big points in this movie, is her not being able to move on. And so for me to watch this, not a nightmare, but a dream sequence, to see her expel, for me, what the demons were, and to intersplice the two versions of what she knows of death is, and to say, oh, well, maybe it's not that bad. I don't know.
Do you think Danny would agree with you that was a dream sequence and not a nightmare?
Again, I would
Danny,
say...
not the May Queen. Because the May Queen might think of it as a dream sequence, but Danny might think of it as a nightmare.
I would say from that point in the movie, I started noticing, oh, she's starting to kind of get into their culture.
Well, she's the only one that actually does.
Of course. But again... This goes back to Ari Aster dropping these little fucking breadcrumbs when they first come to the village.
Flower petals.
Yes, but the guy goes around, the one guy comes around, and to everybody he says, hello, 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 hello. And then when he gets to Danny, he says, welcome home.
Oh,
Big difference.
Say that. You're right.
Every single piece of dialogue in this movie is a breadcrumb in some kind of, again, comedic way of letting you know, hey, I've told you the whole time what's going to happen. And I love it.
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Do you believe that it was planned from the beginning that Danny was to be the May Queen?
I would say possibly.
Do you think it was Pele's plan?
I would say possibly, yes.
Okay.
I
it's
think
not no. And that's where Ari Aster kind of gets a lot of credit,
course.
I think.
I think there's some. I mean, isn't her birthday in May, or am I losing my? When's her birthday? What's the
June
date
and July is when they're there.
Okay, I apologize.
But it is spring or summer, I guess, depending. I don't know what Sweden has.
I will say.
I think it's June.
I will say Ari Aster was telling us that she was. I mean,
Right.
if you go back again, and just speaks to his brilliance. You know, you're watching in the beginning when the parents are dead, and he's doing these slow dolly shots over these exhaust
Gorgeous.
pipes.
Absolutely beautiful.
Brutal, terrible,
Tragically
that's a nightmare.
stunning.
So he's doing these dolly shots up, and then they go over the parents, which again. And he plays with expectations all the time. The first time you see the parents, you think they're peacefully sleeping.
With her picture on the
No.
bedside.
The
with
first
the
time
flowers.
you see them, the very first time they're breathing.
Are you sure?
I'm positive because I saw their chests heaving.
I thought they were dead.
And I'm wondering, how the hell do you not hear the phone?
Well, there's also flowers above her picture
That's
when
what I
they're
was
alive,
getting to, yeah.
and then there aren't flowers.
And in
when
her
they
room,
are...
there's a picture of a little girl kissing a bear.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's just
Of course, I love it.
But no, I would bet money that you can see them breathing in the very first time
you
see
could be
them.
right. I'm not gonna.
When she's calling them on, leaving a voicemail to them.
Right. Why?
they're
When did
sleeping.
they pick up?
I don't know.
Bro,
That's
I
that's.
think
I
they
would
might
bet
be
you.
dead. You could be right.
They
could be. They could have been.
Maybe they were in. Maybe
Doesn't
they were,
matter.
It was their last breath, for all I know.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a breath.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the production company A24. They are, I think, only 10 years old. I want to read off some of the movies. They've only been up for 10 years. I want to read off some of the movies.
Hit
Okay.
after hit.
It's stuff that the three of us love to watch. They did Spring Breakers, Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal, Under the Skin, which I am dying to show you, Gigi, Locke, Ex Machina, Slow West, Room, The Witch, Green Room, The Lobster, Swiss Army Man, Ben, I know you didn't care for that one, American Honey, Moonlight, Blackcoat's Daughter, which I want both you guys to watch because it's directed by Anthony Perkins' son, and the score is done by Anthony Perkins' other son. Free Fire, It Comes at Night, A Ghost Story, Killing of a Sacred Deer, Lady Bird, Hereditary, Mid-90s, Climax,
Jesus.
High Life, The Lighthouse, and Uncut Gems. 10 years, and I'm not joking, that is maybe 20% of what these guys have been doing. There's so many other production companies out there and studios out there that are not anywhere remotely close to what these guys are doing. And I have to tell you, you guys are a little younger than me, but when I was growing up, and this is a completely different comparison, but there was companies like Carolco or Orion sometimes, but I would see like Canon Pictures. I knew when Canon logo came up, I knew as a kid I was going to be watching like the best shitty Chuck Norris movie or some kind of ninja movie ever. But as a kid, like that was the stuff I lived for. Now as an adult, as someone who wants challenging, exciting movies that are so not fucking run of the mill, and for the most part, if I just see the company's logo, I get super excited. And it's the only company doing that because it's so funny. If you watch like trailers for movies are going to be bad, they're desperately seeking your approval when they say from the production company that brought you Despicable Me,
right, or Academy Award winner.
Yeah, it's not from the same writers,
yeah.
directors, none of it. It's just from the company who paid for it. That doesn't mean shit. But now when I see A24, I absolutely get so excited. I just wanted to touch base on that. It's not. I don't get often excited about production companies, but A24 for me is the fucking rock star. And for 10 years, they've been killing it. I've been like beyond.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad by. There's a few movies on that list that I never even heard of.
Oh, like what?
I'd have to see it. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Without letting me see your notes or whatever?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You've already sneak a peek.
I mean, I've seen most of them.
Okay.
There's only a handful of them that I haven't
Okay.
seen.
Have you seen Green Room?
Yes.
Okay. I've got to get her to watch that.
I will be left out of this conversation because I don't watch anything, so it's fine.
No, what? Jesus, God.
I haven't seen anything.
I know. I'll fix that.
You can pretty much only watch A24 though. I think that's the consensus.
That's your kind of movie.
It's
a company, like honestly.
But it's even if it's not something you don't like, if it's something you don't like, it's not that it's made poorly.
Right.
It's just something that you maybe don't register with, like Swiss Army Man for me.
Right. But I mean, if nothing else, with Swiss Army Man, that's a great point. At least they swung and it was a miss for you. But
it was bold. Mm-hmm. It was not like anything else that I would have ever expected Daniel Radcliffe to be in.
Of course.
Oh. And Paul Dano, I loved him in There Will Be Blood.
I loved him in Prisoners.
And Prisoners, yes. But this, let's just keep reading the movies. We don't have to.
Well,
I'm not going to let Swiss Army Man hijack this podcast.
I will also say for the last word on that movie, I actually enjoyed it. Maybe I need to revisit it, but I did care for it. I thought it was pretty good. Have you ever seen Under the Skin?
Yes.
Okay. We've all enjoyed The Lighthouse.
Yes.
So we like that. Okay. How about Uncut Gems?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen Mid-90s?
No.
That's
one of them.
We just watched it.
Okay.
And again, I won't go down an emotional rabbit hole, but I will say I have never had a movie so closely resemble my childhood ever.
Oh yeah, you were telling me this at work. Okay.
I mean, to a T. If I watch that movie, I feel like someone set up a camera on my childhood. It's insane. And I will also tell you this. I don't know if this is going to throw you off. Please stay on target if you said you would watch it. Jonah Hill wrote and directed the movie. I don't know if that does anything
doesn't
for
do
you.
Anything,
okay.
I mean, it doesn't do anything positive or
I
negative.
will tell you,
it's just
I think you will like this movie.
Okay.
Okay.
I really remember
I'm not a
now.
fan of Jonah Hill at all.
I think he's like the luckiest actor who ever lived.
He could be, yes.
Yeah.
He could.
I mean, I tell anyone who'll listen.
Okay. Well, everyone's listening, so.
Yeah. I'm not going to let him hijack this either.
Okay.
We can have a Jonah Hill podcast if you want.
Okay. No, but you were not a fan, and I'm not.
No, I am not a fan still.
I'm not overly a fan. I will say he's been in some good movies. I think between
incidental. He doesn't make them good.
No, and this will be a completely other podcast, I will tell you, because this is a long path to get down, but I base a lot of my likes and dislikes of actors, and when I say actors, I mean female and male, actors based on the career path they take. Do they take challenging roles, or do they fucking sell out and do blockbusters?
What's the challenging role he took?
Who? Jonah Hill?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Hold on. He's been in movies like I do care for Moneyball. I cared for Wolf of Wall Street. I cared for.
I'm talking about his performances only. I like those movies too.
But it's not because of Jonah Hill, is what you're saying.
I like Superbad, but I think Seth Rogen's way funnier.
Oh, see,
and I'm sure he wrote the jokes.
I'm not even a fan of that movie. So.
Okay, well, my point is listen. I'm glad for Jonah Hill. Like, he is the kind of guy who I think more people like him should be successful.
Gotcha.
People who aren't beautiful.
Gotcha.
No offense, Jonah Hill. But
depending on the month with him, actually.
Sure. But I mean, I've never been like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong about Jonah Hill.
Right.
Maybe he can act. Maybe he is funny.
Well, just so we can get back to Midsommar, I would say you might become at least a respectable, have a little bit of respect for him after seeing.
I would love to.
He's not in it.
He's not in it.
He's not in it.
I listen.
What is that? Is that a
no? But that might be a fair
bonus?
point. That his directing chops might be something I am interested in. Maybe he doesn't get to express that when he's working with Martin Scorsese, who's clearly going to have it in a stranglehold, or the writer's room of Superbad, where he's not going to get every joke. Maybe him being in charge of the production in that way might actually be interesting. I'd give it a shot.
But
if he's not in it, that already
we
helps.
can talk about this on another podcast also. But there is also a lot of actors out there who will work with great directors like Scorsese and others just to take a pay cut just so they can learn from them.
Right,
and then immediately they go out and direct right after.
Right.
So
and I would be the same way.
And again, just for the last thing for mid-90s, I will say again, it's not like the 2001 of skateboard kid coming of age movies, but I will say he definitely captured an essence.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. So anyways.
When does it take place?
Exactly. From mid-90s to Midsommar. Let's get back. I digress.
We got sidetracked.
Okay.
Perfect segue.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh, I did want to talk about, would you guys, any of you guys Lord of the Rings fans? I know you
Yes.
are. Okay.
Movies or books? I'm just kidding.
Okay, I can't read.
Yeah.
So
He doesn't know how.
So
I wouldn't recommend the books.
Okay. I definitely probably wouldn't make it through. I probably wouldn't even make it through was it called the prefix or something?
Does it have pictures?
The Hobbit?
Yeah. Or no, whatever the foreword or
Preface.
something. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I wouldn't get through that, man. I'm pretty bad.
The table of contents.
I thought the sets were so cool. So with the Lord of the Rings, I don't know if you guys know this, but they have the set pieces still built out in New Zealand, and it's like a big part of like tourists
of their whole
yeah,
economy.
Yeah, it's like a big part of their tourism. Man, I don't know. I should look this up, but that would be cool if they would have left those sets up. I feel like I would have paid
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I know they did not
Hungary?
shoot in
Wait,
Sweden.
We're still talking about Midsommar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
They
pay.
sold. I think they auctioned off the May Queen dress.
They did. I actually.
Yeah, they had several different props that they were auctioning
If
off.
memory serves, I think it was $12,500.
Nice.
Did
you bid?
According, all right, here it goes. According to a Variety magazine article, the Academy Museum is now the proud owner of Florence Pugh's iconic floral dress from Midsommar. The organization behind the Oscars was the highest bidder in an auction held by A24, with proceeds going to coronavirus relief efforts. The final bid went for $65,000 per A24's website, though the Academy Museum declined to confirm the price point.
Where is this museum at?
Okay, do not quote me. I believe it has not opened up yet, and I want to go because I think I saw an article about they have the last remaining Bruce from Jaws. They had this is a completely different side story, but they had Greg Nicotero come in, I believe, and I could be completely telling the story wrong, but I believe Greg Nicotero came in and repaired the last working robotic Jaws from Jaws, whose also his name is Bruce, and they bought that and they have that on display, but I don't think it's open, and they're going around buying like all this shit up.
Nice.
And of course they probably have a lot of other stuff being the Academy Awards, but I would love to go see that. But I would definitely love to go see like the set pieces. That would be something for sure.
That would be a cool trip to take.
Yeah.
To the middle of nowhere in Hungary.
So just
Hungary?
Where did they shoot at? Do you know?
I want to say it was Hungary.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Midsummer?
It takes place
in Sweden?
It was not in Sweden.
Wait a minute. What if it was
production costs were too high?
What if it was, and this would be the crowning genius for Ari Aster. What if it took place in Holland because they were watching Austin Powers?
You guys really flipped out about that.
What was that about?
That was a scene. That is a part of the director's cut.
Can we look this up, please? The Austin Powers.
Okay, we'll set the scene.
Because
can you just Google Austin
the first
Powers
thing that came to my
Midsommar?
mind was Goldmember. Like, he hates Dutch people, but I'm like, these aren't Dutch people; they're Swedes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I can't think of the Swedish connection to Austin Powers.
I don't know how they're watching Austin Powers. I don't know why they're watching Austin Powers.
Could it be from a stolen cell phone? Question mark.
If you had it downloaded to your phone, maybe.
During this viewing,
there's no Wi-Fi, right?
I doubt it.
During this viewing, I only noticed two pieces of technology. When they crown the May Queen, they have that old, like super old camera. They take a picture with
a film camera.
A film camera, yeah. And then the only other piece of technology I saw throughout the whole movie was Mark, who was never paying attention to the beauty around him. And he was on his cell phone.
Was he listening to the news or something?
Yes, because
right.
Because that's again. And I always say, watch it in the best possible environment, any kind of movie. But we happen to notice on this viewing, again, another piece of the comedy that you could hear he was listening to something on his cell phone, and it was like all dick jokes or something like that.
Yeah, something about penis getting chopped off.
Prime Minister or something.
I don't know.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But they were there for 9 days, right?
Yes.
Assuming they all survived the 9 days. They all had their cell phone powered for 9 days.
It's a great question.
Where do you charge your phone then?
You take one of those extra battery power.
Oh God. Hey, so one of the things I wanted to bring up was, this isn't the first horror movie to do this, but in most horror movies, the main characters somehow are able to defeat the other elements that they land in. I mean, they got to get out of the village or whatever, or whether it's
they blow up the shark.
Mm-hmm. But usually, I guess if you view the Harga people as the villains, okay.
Nope, Christian's the villain.
Copy that.
And Danny
Sure.
did escape Christian.
That is okay. Okay, that's a
So-
good point. I was gonna say the cult kind of comes out on top on this one.
Is Christian an allegory for Christianity?
I believe so. I
Christianity?
believe that
Oh,
was done on
possibly,
purpose.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely.
Yeah, that was something that's funny. I picked this up before, but Josh kept because he was so knowledgeable of other traditions and other cultures, and he kept like quoting other cultures to him, and he would get like these dead end looks,
Right.
constantly,
Right.
and because I guess he wasn't picking up on this is our own made up shit,
right.
buddy.
This
We're
is
off the
something
grid.
you've never
Right,
read.
We're off the
I
grid.
think also, they don't. There's no connection that they want.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, like, stop asking questions. Stop taking photos.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not here. Yeah, you're not part of those. You're not with that tribe. You're with us.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. I have one last question. I think I already know the answer, but I'll ask you anyways, and I'll ask you first. After seeing this movie, would you guys actually attend a real life Midsommar celebration? Because they do exist, especially in Sweden. But I mean, obviously, they don't burn people alive and stuff. But does this freak you out? Would you attend one or?
Oh, I would totally attend one. Yeah,
really?
for sure. Definitely. Before this movie, after this movie, sign me up.
Oh,
Where do I
God.
sign up?
Oh my God. Ben?
I wonder. I mean, maybe I wouldn't go out of my way if I was in Sweden.
Yeah.
Sure. No, but I wonder how like the reception of this movie in Sweden was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a.
What's
I think
what's
that's been
their
a huge
economy?
topic.
Has there been? I mean, obviously the coronavirus has negated all travel. But,
Right.
they can't have liked the way they were portrayed.
Yeah,
exactly.
How do they view
Exactly.
this and their rituals?
Or maybe they laughed about it the whole fucking time. Who
Maybe,
knows?
yeah. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the rest of the world said, "Oh, Americans are just going to be scared of one more
Right,
thing."
right.
About not America.
I will say for me, it would probably be no. I remember,
How come?
Horror movies kind of affect me. When I was a child, I watched Psycho, which is my favorite horror film ever, period. And I couldn't take showers for months. I mean,
Right.
I sat
What?
in the bathtub.
Oh.
Sorry. No, I wasn't
You
a
still
stinky,
bathed.
stinky kid.
The garden hose.
Thank you for bringing that up so I could at least, confront that rumor. But no, so I would take baths for months with the bathroom door open. And I mean, I always kind of had to know my surroundings. And then, and this isn't I don't know if these movies hold up so well, but I remember the first time I saw Hostel and just the disorientation of people speaking different languages. And I didn't always know what was going on and the characters didn't know. And then, just a different world. It just really messed me up. And I had to stay I had to always stay away from hostels. There were choices that I had to make for travel plans where I was like, I should stay at a hostel. It's way cheaper, and I don't have the money for this. But I'm so scared of them now after seeing the movie. Anyways, it's totally not compared to this genius piece of work that we just watched. But I probably would not attend a
But it's
Midsommar celebration.
it is comparable. Obviously, the movies aren't comparable, but the effects they have on you are very comparable.
Correct, right? Which is, I think horror doesn't get the respect it deserves a lot of times. But I want to watch. I want to watch a comedy and laugh my ass off. I want to watch Schindler's List and cry my eyes out. And I want to watch a horror film and I want to be terrified of that element that it's nitpicking. And it does its job. I mean, this movie definitely did its job.
Yes. To me, I think horror is special because comedy jokes fade away. Like the punchline of a joke, you can only hear it once, and then it becomes less funny after that. For me, to bring it back to Silence of the Lambs at the very end when Clarice Starling is by herself, that's my favorite horror movie.
Oh, nice.
I can still hear the of the night vision goggles when Buffalo Bill is stalking her, and it fucking terrifies me every time.
Of
It's
course.
it gets me every time. I've seen that movie thousands of times.
Of course, it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's still ingrained in a way that comedy, I can see a movie 100 times and see the joke and not laugh.
Yeah. And
Or-
and one of the things that Silence does so good, that this movie does so good, it's that, the best horror films for me are the ones that have the balls to don't be shot beautifully and lit beautifully, and they have this world when you go in the James Gunn's house, there's roaches crawling around. There's shit on pots and pans that has very obviously not been cleaned.
He doesn't live upstairs.
No,
That's
it looks
why.
unfortunately looks like my father's house, but it looks
Looks like
terrifying.
my grandmother's house.
It looks terrifying. Gigi's giving me a kick under the table, but anyways, I'm terrified of that world. I was terrified of his basement where he was sewing everything.
Or when they ring the doorbell and the buzzer goes off,
dude,
and like the lightning strikes.
Dude, it's everything about that movie is terrifying, and it's grimy and gritty. And in this movie, obviously, Midsommar is not grimy and gritty, but I mean, I'm just terrified of it because he just went to extents you don't think you're ever going to be put in. The sex scene, the bear scene,
it makes it a completely
blood,
real place.
Yeah. And again, you
and those
see,
aren't things that are necessarily scary. Like the
no,
sex scene. It's just really different and strange.
No, and going back to the first 12 minutes, you know, this movie isn't cheap. It doesn't get the jump scares. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to like do cheap thrills to get you scared. It's terrifying to look at a daughter who's sucking on an exhaust pipe and has just murdered her parents. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. And what's even worse is going back, you know, having that shock over Danny as she's sobbing and her boyfriend's, you know,
holding her.
Yeah,
away.
and that's the other thing is, you know, you look at that scene and you're like, holy shit, the center of attention is how good Danny's acting and how terrifying that is. But what you're not really realizing is that fucking guy doesn't want to be there. And that's what makes that scene even worse. He's faking his way through his little pats on her back, and he doesn't want to be there.
knows too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So we just finished watching this movie. What did you guys think? Gigi, would you recommend this to somebody like your parents?
Well, actually, I did. Hi, Mom and Dad. I hope you watched it, and I hope you're listening to this. I wouldn't recommend this movie to many people because I don't feel like it is for many people, but I love Fucked Up, and I love everything about this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I can watch this a bunch more.
Agreed. We probably will.
Yeah.
Ben, would you recommend this?
Not to my parents.
Okay.
But yes, I would recommend it to anybody who would watch it. And it's so good, it's the kind of movie I would make my girlfriend watch.
Nice.
Knowing she would hate it.
Nice.
It's just an excuse for me to watch it again.
I will say that, again, especially watching it this time, I have to now put this into a category where I think this is a work of genius. And I will say that, yes, if you don't already know going into it, there is some horrific, fucked up shit. But in the context and in the world that you're watching, it makes sense and it needs to be there. But as long as you realize that going in, I would say if you can look past that, if that's not your jam, it's not your thing, I would say that this movie has so much to offer, and unwrap again your next viewing, and then watch for a different interpretation the next viewing, and then just take something out of it different every single time. I think it is a pure work of genius, and I think that's why we dedicate an entire podcast. And to be honest with you, I'm cutting us short because I could go on for another. Much like if they offered an even longer director's cut, I could go on for another half hour on this movie. I thought it was just absolutely perfect, and it gets better. And that's the one thing I will say. That's from my final thought. It's the movie that I've seen the most this past 2 years, probably, and it gets better every single time I watch it. So, and that's the best compliment I can give a movie.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
Yeah, cool. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming over for the screening. I hope you guys had a good time. I actually loved it. We watched it on a 4K Blu-ray, and I will always recommend any chance you get.
Not a DVD, by the way.
Not a DVD. Fuck DVDs. Fuck streaming. Hard copy on 4K Blu-ray, and we did watch it. And for me, I had a great screening. I had a fun time watching it, and I can't thank you guys enough for coming over. So.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. Yeah, cool. Yeah, see ya. So, we're not done.
We're back.
We are back. So in true terrible best friend behavior, I didn't even bother to ask if you guys had any questions. So shame on me.
No, it's fine.
No, it's totally my fault.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Well,
I'm just kidding.
No, It's you know what? And this is, I will totally take accountability. Shame on me, and I should have offered. So. And I love talking about this movie. One of the last things I just said was I could go on for another half hour. So,
so can I?
Yeah, let's do it. So, my apologies. Gigi would like to ask a couple questions.
This is the Gigi cut of the podcast.
Here I am, guys.
It's more informative.
Deke, Ben, thanks for being on my show.
But again, it's still mine. But that's fine. Go ahead.
All right. So, let's say you guys are part of the cult. All right.
Okay.
I arrive as Danny.
I don't have time for this.
You guys are part of this cult. what role would you be playing?
Oh, that's a good question.
In what? In like making you May Queen?
No, it just in any.
I know the answer for me.
I need to hear your answer.
In any,
before
I guess
think of
in
an
any
answer.
situation.
I know
What
my
part
answer.
of the cult am I in?
No, so
so-
almost like an Amish community. Everybody in
Everyone
this
has a
community,
role,
everyone
right?
has a role.
Sure.
Everyone's doing
Okay.
something. I know what mine would be because I remember noticing it this time. This movie is just so comical. Sometimes you don't even realize it. But there's a scene where Christian's running around naked and he's trying to escape. And he is underneath the dead body and he comes back up and there's a dude who's been running around the town like hunting down Christian. And in their community, their version of a taser gun or a capacitor is two handfuls worth of dust that knocks your ass out. And I remember thinking, that dude just ran around chasing Christian down with this huge puff of smoke. I would love that job.
Okay, so what was that puff of smoke? What was that?
Well, that's what incapacitated him. That's what.
Okay.
That's,
Like, what is it made of? Who
I want to know what that is.
That's some Harga shit right there. But
Yeah.
that seems like that would be. Look, if I'm in that world, I'm in it. So
yes.
I mean, why not have
You're
some
the
fun?
You're the henchman,
dude. I'm
the muscle.
I'm the John Wick of the
John
Harga
Wick
people.
of Harga people.
And I'm just sniping people with two handfuls
It would have.
of
The only
dust.
thing that would have been better is if he came down from the rafters upside down.
Like Leon,
Yeah.
like the professional. Oh, dude, that would have been sick. Yeah, from like the wood rafters, you hear like a
Yes.
creak, and all of a sudden he comes down and like blows it in his face. So yeah, I'd be the
Or Spider-Man.
I'd be the trapper,
The dust.
Trapper John.
Yeah.
I'd be Trapper John of the Harga people.
All right, nice to know.
Yeah.
Ben?
I would like to be the painter oracle.
Oh, you'd like
do
to
you
be
like that?
inbred.
No. How I get there is incidental. What I'm doing there was the question.
Okay.
Yes. And,
Because you're kind of like a god, right? You're this.
Wait.
I would not say that.
Wait, so hold on, back up. So
That person had the most fun of the movie.
Of course.
Out of anybody else.
he's the most creative.
He's
doing
the
art.
most free.
He's
yes,
doing art.
the most free. And, exactly. He's the oracle. He
How
gets
funny.
They,
Hi, Mom. I mean, Aunt. Hi, Dad.
Right.
Uncle.
Right. Right.
Does he say any words
He's
in
got
that
his
movie?
own private cot in the wall that shares the wall with the mating ritual room. So he's clearly
perv.
informed. Pervert,
Which brings
informed,
up,
whatever.
If you don't think this is one of the darkest comedies ever, watch the scene where, that dude's just hanging out, just creeping out.
Yeah.
So when Josh gets clubbed over the head and he's like, "Ugh."
That's him wearing his what's his name's face, right?
No, I think that's someone else because he's just laying down watching it. And then in the sex scene later on, he's just laying down watching
Who's
them
the
have
guy
sex.
when Josh gets clubbed in the head? Who is wearing Mark's face?
I don't know. Honestly,
Because
I
they're
don't
breathing
know.
heavy.
Yeah.
I want to know who the hell that is.
I don't know.
Because
Hold
they
on,
were blinking.
You want to be that
That's
guy?
not
No,
Mark?
because there's eyes blinking underneath his
Yeah,
open
I
eyelids.
saw that too, and I just took for
Someone's
granted that
wearing
maybe
his
he
face
was.
Yeah.
like Hannibal Lecter style.
You think so?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I know
definitely,
that.
definitely.
Yes.
That I knew.
I didn't read that.
They
That I
linger
know.
on
but
him. They
you guys
linger
are
on him
probably
long
right.
enough.
Yeah, but I don't
You can
think
see
it
it.
was your dream character. I don't think it was the inbred.
No.
Okay.
I don't think his head could fit in Mark's
Yeah.
Now, the penis kind of looks similar to Christian's.
Oh, nice. No, but Christian was.
Thanks for
accounted
identifying
for.
that.
Just kidding.
Christian
Totally
was
kidding.
accounted for, I think. It had to be somebody from the Harga people, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it was. I don't.
Maybe it was. What's his name? Pele.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Did he have Pele's hair? Was there hair on this person?
No, it was Mark's
I think it
whole
was-
severed
Yeah.
head had been hollowed out.
Yeah,
And
I
he
need
was
to
wearing
rewatch
it like
this.
a Halloween
yeah, because
mask.
when they do they're straw puppets at the end of the movie.
Mhm,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's everyone's severed face jammed onto a straw body, so they're gonna go up like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the British woman.
I think it
That's
was
just
Pele because Pele tells him that you can't go in there. And in Pele fashion, that's his way of saying, go in there so we can kill you.
Yeah,
Like pulling the strings like a
Maybe.
puppet
It
master.
could be.
or whatever.
but I don't think it was him. I think your guy you're talking about, because I think he was laying down, and he's laying down watching the sex scene, which again is weird as shit.
Mhm. So I'm going with the Oracle for sure.
All right, well,
I like
okay,
it.
I'll
cool.
take that.
All right, cool.
That's great. So I'll be Dust Brothers, and you'll be the Oracle. I like it. Cool. Awesome.
You guys can start a cult right now.
We can go on tour.
Dust Brothers and the Oracle.
Yeah, exactly. What other questions you got?
That's all I have.
Oh,
that's
come
it?
on.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one to end on.
Yeah.
It's a good bonus question.
I'm having fun. That was fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I have more.
All right, go for it. We
Go
wanna
ahead.
hear 'em.
Yeah, please.
Jeez, don't be shy.
All right. If you guys were coming in to the cult as
I'm not looking at you.
the stupid Americans.
Okay.
Okay, so we're now with the other
So
guys.
yeah,
Okay.
so you are put in the situation.
Or
right?
stupid English people. Not
There was
just
a-
Americans
well-
that were
well,
There was a bunch of
I'm-
other people. They only focused on the
Right.
4 Americans and the 2 British.
Right.
4 Americans question? Yeah. 4
tricked. I take exception in
5.
saying stupid Americans, like the British people got captured too.
Right, but I'm not really talking about the British
Okay.
people. I mean,
I
come
didn't
on.
mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
You know.
All right, so
Anyways.
we're Americans.
Yes. You guys, walking into this cult-like situation,
Compound or whatever. Yeah.
would you be taking narcotics or would you be drinking anything that they hand you?
They start off with mushrooms, which is a pretty heavy-handed way to start off meeting
Right.
new people.
Yeah.
I would have probably.
If you were put in that situation, would you do it?
I'm not the kind of person who goes to Sweden though. Like I feel like it's a certain sect of people.
So your stop
that are-
sign begins way earlier in this
way
journey.
earlier. Well, I don't have a PhD. That should tell you enough. My stop sign stopped
Right,
way
gotcha.
back in college.
But
Okay.
so you get seduced by
I-
Pele
no,
too.
I'll play along. Would I take hallucinogenic drugs
Right.
with a group of strangers?
Or some
They
girl
play
hands you
They are
a
very
drink.
convincing in thinking that like this is the way it is around here. There's nothing insidious about like we slip this into your drink. They're all drinking the same shit.
Yeah.
That's very convincing.
Well, except for Christian
No,
at
Christian-
the table. that
well,
one
I
time.
don't know. He gets a special glass from that girl, but it looked very similar to what everyone else was drinking.
It did.
Maybe they've all built some kind of tolerance to it from drinking it every fucking year someone dies or whatever. My answer is still no. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the answer
Deke?
is no. I mean, no. This whole movie,
All right. Well, you guys are no fun.
Well, okay,
No, no,
hold
no.
on. What would you do? You'd say yes then,
I
clearly.
probably would not.
Oh,
But still, I want a
would
different
say-
answer from you guys.
So what I will say, the one thing is they went over there. Okay, they didn't know this was going to be a horror movie or a comedy or whatever it is.
Right.
So when they first go over, they're excited to be, boys on the run.
Exactly.
With the,
Mhm.
with the
With
Danny.
Clingy Danny.
Yeah. With Clingy Danny. Yeah, exactly. But they thought they were going to be partying, meeting girls, doing drugs. So the first couple of times they take it, but then towards the end. I would say the second half where, especially with Christian, they're just plowing drinks down his throat and other stuff. And I'm like, brother,
He's taking
you're
it though.
fucking...
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, dude, how are you still standing? You know what I mean? Like, if I drink
He was barely
half
standing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was.
well, yeah,
He was
exactly.
not standing towards the end.
Right, which I thought was very funny. Again, watching it.
I
and he-
loved it.
I was dying
That's my
laughing.
favorite scene.
Him stumbling into the
Yes.
into the prep house to get
Mhm.
a sex robe on.
That's a cool robe though.
Yeah, that's
Hell yeah. That's actually the only time in the movie where has a garment on. That's
Yeah.
one of theirs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but kind of, but not in his right state of mind. But I would say, maybe if I was one of those people, I would take like the first 2 set of drugs. I personally would not. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I like to get a lay of the land, and I'm not a drugs type of guy, anyways. But I mean, I would definitely say being out of my element would not be. Well, hey, now I really want. This is when I want to start drinking psychotic.
Right.
Teas
Right,
and stuff
exactly.
like that, for me
Mhm.
personally.
Or
But
like,
I would
yeah.
say they went over with the intention thinking, hey, this is going to be party time. And so I can
Right.
understand the first 2, but again, after the second and after the third and fourth, I was like shaking my head. It was the equivalent of me screaming at the screen, don't go down there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like,
Sure.
because I knew, I had already been introduced to death in the first 12 minutes.
Mhm.
So I knew what this movie was capable of.
Sure.
So anytime someone does something stupid and idiotic in the movie, I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
So, and it was a real tension builder. And also another way of me laughing too, because you're just shaking your head like, you fucking idiot. So I don't know. It was both. But yeah, for me personally, I would not.
Who do you guys relate to most in the movie? Do you guys relate to Christian at all?
I would like to think I relate to Josh. This is and this is a completely different subject, and I should have brought this up, but the guy who plays Josh, he is so funny on The Good Place. He's so good. I would have liked to have seen him switch roles with Jack Rayner, to be honest with you, that actor. And I would have liked to have seen him play the boyfriend because...
Do you think that's possible?
I would have loved to have seen it because I think Jack Rayner could also play the I know my books and kind of the dude, what are you doing, coattail riding type of conversations versus I forget the actor's name, but the guy who played Josh, Christian is kind of he's a big dick, but in a very kind of comical way. Some of the way he reacts and says things and does things, I think would have been kind of funnily handled by the guy from The Good Place. So I would have liked to seen that switch, but I would like to say Josh because I'm probably not. I don't know, but I would like to say Josh for me personally because I thought he was the least asshole-ish character.
He's the safest.
Yeah, I don't think he did anything wrong.
He has the most respect for what they're doing, too.
Yeah, he gets killed for being interested in their culture.
He does violate it, though. He does violate the rule. He knows that he shouldn't be in there. Of course,
and they were all going to die anyways. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But I would say...
But he's not innocent in the sense that he does violate their traditions and their rules and becomes just as bad as the rest of them. Yeah. Not just as bad, but he becomes bad like them.
Yeah.
Not to say that he deserved a mallet to the head, but
I don't fault anyone for, he's very interested in this culture. I mean, you as opposed to a dickhead boyfriend, a vaping idiot, and some of the other people in the movie. I
don't know who I would relate to. It's not any of them. It's not Pele. It's not Danny.
I mean, no one wants to say Christian. I mean, no one's going to...
I know. I don't know. I feel like I can relate. I'm just kidding.
If you were a member of the cult, who would you be?
I thought about this during the movie several different times, and I was super eager to ask you guys. I wanted to ask you during the movie. But I think definitely, the last person who falls during the ritual, and he's not he doesn't completely kill himself. He just kind of breaks his legs and he's breathing.
That's the guy you want to be?
No, people that come out with the hammer, I would like to be that person with the hammer that, gives him the last.
The Harga Donkey Kong.
Right. But, now I thought about, we're talking about all the beautiful illustrations and the art that is in all of these spaces. I want to be the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take up some days.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
Yeah, me too.
Again, I'm so sorry for not asking if you had any questions. That's a shame on me, and as a host, that's terrible hosting on my part.
I'm just kidding.
So I totally apologize, and they were great questions, and I had a lot of fun answering them. So thanks for bringing them up, honestly. So
you're recording them, right?
Yes, the red light is on, and I think we're good to go. So yeah, so thanks for the bonus questions. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to my podcast.
No, again, and on that, thanks, Gigi. All right, thanks, guys, and see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to Ben Toussaint for joining me, and a huge thanks to Gigi Lage, who took time from being the producer of this show to be a guest. If you liked what you heard on today's episode, please subscribe to the channel and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, stay sick.